one of the worst is the idea of being in the here and now, which is very important. There is no time other than right now. All of the memories you have of the past happen right now. All of your hopes for the future happen right now. And if you stare into the moment now, there's really usually very little to disturb us. If you're thinking about what a horrible person you are because you did this, that, or the other thing, if you bring yourself back now, you realize, I'm not doing those things. That's just a memory. I don't have to invest any emotions in that. You don't at all. That's suffering that you can just let drop away when you can be here in the moment, in the now. But we're not here to be in the moment just to groove with it, man. They started teaching this sort of meditation to people in corporate workforces because corporate thought, well, if they're all here in the now and everything's okay because it's all happening right now, and they won't care if they don't get a Christmas bonus. They won't care if we reduce their pay. That's not what that's for. It's not to make you just happy with whatever's happening. That just leads to a low-grade depression, is all that does. No, we're here in the now because that's where we have power. That's where we have power over all these other little selves that want to remind you of something that happened a year ago or 10 years ago so that they can be in charge and you can be miserable again. You can be mad at someone again. And, anger is an interesting thing because we are angry very often before we find a cause for it. We can feel like we want to be angry. And then we'll turn on the news. All right, let's go to the Gateway Pundit. I'm going to find something to get angry about. You don't care what it is. It's like, now I found something out to be angry. I can really be angry at this idiot who I don't know, who contradicts me on a subject that I was completely unaware of 5 minutes ago, and suddenly this gives me a chance to be good and angry. But it's hard to do that when you're here. But when you're here now and can see these things clearly, that's, as I said, that's when you have power. That's when you can actually do things. You can make decisions. You can accomplish things. So being here now isn't meant to just detach you from everything. That just leads to, I know someone that did this exercise without other training, and they began to feel like what in psychiatry they call dissociation. They felt like they were a robot, that they could do anything. And this is a sort of thing that can lead people to commit all sorts of acts. These initiations, these techniques simply reflect very often what happens to people otherwise. All initiation ceremonies recreate something that happened to someone in life. Usually someone goes through an extreme physical and mental situation, something that tests them to their extremes. They're usually in pain, very often starving, very often hypothermed, and they come out of it and their whole mind is changed. Happened to Basil Rathbone, the guy that played Sherlock Holmes, among many other parts in the movies, in World War I. He was almost killed in the course of the war, and he was saying about how he was lying in the middle of a shell hole. He realized nothing mattered. Well, everything is what it is. And after that, he just went through the whole war with try to shoot me, go on. Lost all sense of self when it came to that. So you can come out of a weird situation and just have this different perspective, but it can also be very dangerous. I've often said, one of my favorite sayings is that the illuminated mind is like an arrow flying straight to hell. What do we mean by this? We mean that very often, if we have a lopsided practice, or if you attain certain mental states, if you are in a state where you feel that you're beyond good and evil, well, you might just decide to start doing evil. Because why not? This is like the robot thing. This is the dissociation that certain psychiatric drugs create. This is why kids on Ritalin and SSRIs are often very likely to turn violent. Because they have no idea what to do. They're not prepared for the state. They don't realize that the state can be a step. And they don't have any grounding in virtue, in generosity, and compassion, in the practice of the precepts, in seeing that when you do harm to others, you are harming yourself. I'm reminded of the play by Gene Wolfe. I've talked about this before, Roger, about the scene where the one woman is slapping another, and she slapped this woman, and the woman who slapped says, "I'm warning you, don't do that." And the first woman says, "Oh yeah," and slaps her again. And then the woman who was slapped say, "If you do that again, you will be terribly punished." And the first woman says, what will happen? And the one who was slapped says, you will learn to like it, to like doing it, to warp yourself to such a point where you would enjoy inflicting pain on others. That's not a happy life, that's suffering. And that's what the Buddha wants to show us how to end. For that, we need a human body and a human mind, and be ready to do the work of getting control of our own mind. That begins with getting control over our own breath. Breath is key, and it's a very useful element to be used in this. The breath is unconscious and yet conscious. Breathe 24 hours a day, at least I hope you do. Even when you're asleep, you continue to breathe, and yet you can also consciously control the breath. So this is an interface where the conscious and the unconscious meet. And it's also the easiest physical manifestation of the mind state. Your mental state is reflected in your breathing. I learned that a long time ago. If I'm feeling anxious or upset, I look to my breathing while I'm holding my breath generally. Of course I'm anxious and upset. I don't have enough oxygen in my blood. And that makes me more anxious and upset. And my mind will instantly find something to be anxious and upset about. We very often take our physical symptoms and find a mental hook to hang them on. And then the mental hook makes us even more upset. And as you see, it's a vicious circle. This can be interrupted. It's very difficult to interrupt the mental aspects of this, but you can interrupt the breath. If you breathe in a way that is slow and calming, you will become calmer. You can directly affect your own emotions. You do not have to be a toy to your defilements, to these members of the committee, the inner committee, who do not wish you any good, that only want to satisfy their hatreds or their lusts or their appetites, and devil take the hindmost. You know, these are the people inside of you. It's I've heard the metaphor of the false friend, the guy that says, "Hey, let's go do this. Yeah, you throw that rock there. Yeah, that'll be fun." And this friend will lead you into some sort of an adventure, so-called. But then when the cops show up, friend isn't there. You're the one that has to go to jail. You're the one with the hangover. You're the one with the broken up friendships. You're the one that has to cope with that. And that friend of yours that was telling you, "Yeah, let's do this," he's gone. You want friends like that? I've had enough of those. I don't want any more. So. Well, I've talked for almost a half an hour now, and I wanted to keep this brief. But I think what I'm going to try to do is talk a little bit about how Buddhism can help us in our day-to-day life, but also the importance of looking at it as a complete system. And I didn't go into any detail. This was not any sort of a systematic presentation, and perhaps I should work on one of those. There are plenty of those out there. And hopefully we'll find some people that are interested, some people that will want to ask questions or talk back about this. And hopefully we will get people, and I know many people who are much more well-versed in Buddhism than I am, to come on the show and talk about some of this in detail and even correct any mistakes I may have made in detail. So, Roger, I've just been going on at quite the clip. Did you have any comments or questions or anything you'd like to talk about?
First of all, I want to say that you're doing great. Don't worry about trying to script anything out. Everything you said has been pretty amazing. I think it's good stuff. You do have viewers on Rumble. You got 4 viewers watching there.
Oh, hello! Excellent.
You've had 16 views altogether on YouTube, The Wonderful World of Weirdness, and 1 current viewer at the moment. And I don't always get the right amount of what the current viewers are on there. So we've got 2 of them on Kick. And Twitch, I never know how many people are actually watching on there. So, but with all that being said, nobody's made any comments yet. If anybody wants to make any comments, make them in the comment sections. I will read them to Otto so that you can
Yeah, that'd be great.
magic.
If anyone listening right now would like to comment, we'd love to hear a comment. If you want to comment later, we'll read them later. If you want to comment now,
Okay.
be happy to interact with anyone that would like to. That would be great. Interaction is so important. And I'd really like to hear from people that would want to listen to me. Yeah, I'd
Now,
want to listen to you too, So, hey, contact us.
one,
That'd be really cool.
one thing that you were talking about that really stuck out to me is that secret or that friend that you were talking about in your head that convinces you to do stuff.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I've had issues with a lot of people when I talk to them on the internet about that, because like when it comes to me, I had to sober up in 2003, and I had to learn about that person in the back of your head that lies to you. You know what I mean? It's in believing in the lie. Like, it's hard for people to comprehend the fact that you actually lie to yourself. You know, and
Yeah.
when you were saying that, that's really what stuck out to me. So I really appreciate that.
And that's it exactly. They lie.
You know,
Our mind will fool us. It's these guys inside, they're sneaky. They're very persistent. They lie, but you know what? They are not sneakier or more persistent than we are. And another thing is, they aren't us. We don't say this is me because I feel this. No, because if it wasn't, because you can observe it, it's obviously not you. You wouldn't be able to see it if it was you, right? You wouldn't be able to look at it from the outside and say, no, I don't want to listen to this asshole. I know what's going to happen. That's you. And but yeah, the lying, the mind is really good at fooling itself. We come up with all these little rationalizations, and James Bond drinks, must be okay. Sherlock Holmes does cocaine, that's great. You always find an excuse.
yep. Just
And you know what? Before I forget, I should have started the show with this, but I want to wish my admirable friend Roberta de Wessex, Bob Dub, a happy birthday. It's her birthday on the 21st. It's already the 21st where she is. But all of us here wish her a very happy birthday with many happy returns of the day. I'm sure Roger will join me in that.
exactly. Happy birthday, Bob Dub.
Wish you were here. We're looking forward to when you can come back.
I would sing for her, but my voice isn't up to par.
You have to make a birthday song for her now on Udio.
Oh, we could do that.
Yeah, we'll make a birthday song for her.
We could do that. Do it.
Did a cool little birthday poem on mine.
Do one of JFK doing a Marilyn Monroe happy birthday.
I remember that.
In reverse.
I mean, I wasn't there, but I've seen the footage.
I'm pretty sure she'd get a kick out of that.
Yeah.
Seeing JFK do Marilyn Monroe's happy birthday. So, yeah. Happy birthday, Bob Dub.
Happy birthday, Bob. Happy birthday, Bob Dub. You're the best. So yeah, no, I'm hoping that getting back to the show, I'm hoping we can keep a good Buddhist focus. I'm hoping we can, like I say, interact with people, and I really want to talk about really all I can talk about is my personal experience. When I was thinking about doing this, it's like, what are you going to talk about? You're not this, you don't know this much. You don't speak Pali. I mean, I know guys that are Pali scholars. I know the limits of my knowledge. But then I said, well, I'm just going to stick to my precepts. And my precepts is that you don't tell falsehoods, is one of my precepts.